two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome into an all-new episode of the Combat Sports Report here on SportsGrid. I'm Brian CIano. Thank you so much for joining us as we take our weekly look at everything going on in the world of the combat sports and MMA. Bare knuckle, we're going to touch it all. Later on, we're going to talk to BKFC heavyweight Anthony Garrett after his record-setting performance at the BKC event this past weekend. We're going to talk to Lights Out Extreme featherweight Donovan Morris before their December 7th event out in California. But first, we have a huge card as we've been talking about for weeks with the PFL this weekend. Black Friday all day, morning to night here, East Coast time, from like 9:30 all the way to probably after dessert. You got to make sure you check this out on ESPN Plus. And one of the guys who knows best about this, of course, is Jonathan Coachman. Been with the PFL, analyzing them for a long time, and we appreciate his time now as we get ready to break down these fights. Coach, this is a stacked card. This is awesome from top to bottom. I mean, this is what the PFL has always, been about, these tournaments. And when you can get all these finales together. $1 million online for each of these and a belt. It just makes it such a huge event. How excited are you for this to dominate Black Friday? Forget the football, forget the leftovers. It's about the PFL.
You're damn right. First and foremost, Brian, thank you guys for having me. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching, and of course you and your crew. We're extremely excited, and we're kind of looking, I've been with the PFL 4 or 5 years now, and we're really wanting to really set a new standard. And we're using this Friday in Riyadh as the launching point for what is going to be an exciting 2025. And when you've got so many different reasons to tune in, you obviously have the 6 $1 million fights. And can you imagine being one of these 12 fighters and having the opportunity to literally change your financial life? And also, we all know that in fighting, it's very, very expensive, and it's really hard to make a lot of money. And when you get to this point, you want to be able to take advantage of it. But not only that, we've got showcase fights for fighters who want to be a part of the season. I really believe, Brian, that the PFL, the hook, and what makes us different is the season format and the fact that if you win 4 fights, you can win $1 million. So there's a lot of fighters that want to be a part of that aren't yet. So we're going to have a lot of those showcases. And then the last thing is PFL really the next 3 to 5 years, we want to become a global company. When I say global, I mean having PFLs in all different countries. So to have PFL MENA be showcased this Friday as well, there's a lot of unknown fighters to me. I'm going to be learning right along with everybody else, but this is really our line in the sand to look forward and really start to do some exciting things.
And we're looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. Why don't we talk about as many of these top fights as we can get in here with you? Start at the top with the featherweight title, Brendan Loughnane versus Timur Hizarev. This one is, handling over to Timur a lot. He is minus 315 right now on this betting line. Loughnane was a former champion. He's won this tournament. Why do you think it's such a big disparity in the odds right now?
Well, it's sometimes when you're dealing with fighters that may not have as much exposure as, say, other fighters that have been around or been on TV for a really long time. And then sometimes books will look at records and not necessarily be experts on, what fights they have had and who they have fought. That's why I have Ian Parker, you guys already had here on the show. He's our expert. He's the one that dives deep into all of these. So Brendan Loughnane, he's already a former champion. He knows what it takes to win 4 fights basically in 9 months. We call it the hardest task in sports, or the most difficult task in all of MMA. It truly is, because most top fighters, Brian, they fight maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I think Loughnane at his age, this is going to be his swan song as far as the season is concerned with PFL, because it's really, really hard. He's done it many times. But Loughnane is a guy that a lot of PFL fans know, and Hizarev maybe is not as well known as Brendan Loughnane is. And also Loughnane comes from a very, very popular fighting part of the world. He's got that really thick Irish accent. He's super popular. So there's a lot of reasons I think people want him to win what would be a second PFL title.
And of course, a great story, a guy who had that heartbreak with the UFC after doing seemingly everything right, and now has found the home with PFL, where he has made even more money than he probably would have made with an early contract with the UFC. So you got to love the underdog story coming up big here with him. We'll see if he can do it again with another $1 million. Speaking of someone who knows how to win a championship, or at least who get to the championship level, and who has been at a high level experience with the UFC, you have Tyler Santos going against Dakota Dicheva in this women's fight. It's great, first of all, to see them as the co-main event. I love when women like these get their due, because they are two of the baddest baddest fighters on this card. Let's not forget women. They're two of the baddest fighters on this card. The way Dicheva has rolled through people, first round knockouts, but Santos went the distance with a fighter like Shevchenko. She knows what it takes to get there and just missed by split decision. Does she finally get that belt here in the PFL?
So to me, Brian, this is the fight that I'm most looking forward to. In the fight game, what do we always want? We want real life rivalries. We want some really good-spirited trash talk, and we want a really smart, dangerous, up-and-coming fighter that has a chance to be a superstar. In this fight, we have all of that. Dicheva is an absolute superstar at her gym. She is undefeated in the PFL. She was dominant in PFL Europe, then comes over to the season this year, and every single one of her wins is by finish. The other side, you got Santos. She's talking a lot of trash. There's a lot of what I like to consider jealousy out there in the women's game because of how dominant Dicheva has been and how confident she is when she does her interviews. And to this point, Dicheva has used that as fuel. She hears it. She talks about it. She understands it. And if you're Santos, this is an opportunity not only to win $1 million, let's be honest, the disparagement between women's purses over the years in MMA and also boxing and male purses. You can talk about males not getting paid a lot in their early UFC careers or MMA careers. Well, women are even worse. So this is an unbelievable opportunity. So I want to see, despite all the trash talk, despite all the back and forth, when that smart cage door shuts, they're going to start to think about that $1 million, because now it changes how you can train. It changes how you put your next year together. It's literally a life changer. So for Santos, she's talked a lot. A lot of these women do not like the attention, Brian, that Dicheva has gotten, but she's earned it. So for me, if you put a lie detector on me, this is the fight right here I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, there's plenty of fighters that you can understand when, they kind of skip the line because of their mouth. Doesn't seem like Dicheva's like that. We talked to her a couple weeks ago. She's just happy to be here, loves what she does. Doesn't seem like she's the one that's really not putting in the work. She's doing what she needs to do. Moved her whole life down to Florida to try to be the best she can. But we'll see if she can be a champion now as she goes against Santos. Then again, someone who has held that belt and is trying to get it again once again in this next fight, light heavyweight, Impa Kasanganay. We talked to him a couple weeks ago. Slight favorite, Yag Shamuradov. This one is tight, though. It really seems like this is one of who controls the middle of the cage. This one is who controls that style and does what they want to. And these guys who have slightly contrasting battles so far in the PFL this season.
Yeah, if you like stories, Brian, then Impa is your guy. It was, about 3 years ago, maybe less than, that he refused to go back home. Super intelligent guy. His parents were very worried about him. He was living in his car. He was showering at the gym. And then he comes out of nowhere for us and wins the $1 million championship. And has he just put it in his back pocket? No. He's now has a school, an MMA school, that he has opened up in his home country. But then on the other side, you got Yakimirov, who's on a 6-fight winning streak. And when you're looking at what he has done and how good he has looked, this is a very, very even fight. I love it when we get to this time of the year. It's a $1 million on the line, and you've got pretty even odds. That's everything an MMA fight fan would want. Impa's got heart for days. He damn near beat Johnny Evelyn last February in Saudi Arabia. This guy has an incredible, incredible skill set, and I think his heart is what's going to separate him from everything else. So I like Impa to get it done and win his second title as well.
Yeah, we talked to him. My first question to him was, you have 3 financial degrees. Do your parents still love you that you went and became a fighter instead? How is it that they took that news? And, he took it with he had a laugh and talked about how great they've been supporting him. But, speaking of support, we got to get more for Jonathan Coachman. We're going to be coming back with him. We can't let him go yet. We got 3 more title fights to talk about here on the Combat Sports Report on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We are back here on the Combat Sports Report on Sports. We're talking to the coach, Jonathan Coachman, more about this PFL card that we have coming up today. I mean, there are just so many great fights. We couldn't let him get away already. We got to talk about 3 more titles, $3 more million and 3 more belts on the line out in Saudi Arabia. Make sure you're checking out ESPN Plus. So, Coach, bring us now to this welterweight championship. We have Umalatov versus Musayev. Both these guys Russian, number 1, number 2 in this bracket for these playoffs. And Musayev, minus 230, the favorite in this one. Does his countryman have a chance at upsetting him, or is this one where you just got to ride the favorite and find a different way maybe to make your money in the prop bets of this fight?
We always say if it's north of minus 200, that's as comfortable as me and Ian Parker are going to be giving out a straight play. MMA betting, for those people who aren't that familiar with it, it's so different than laying the same juice for a football game or maybe an NBA game. And so we're okay with some odds that are a little bit bigger. But this question from you is very, very apropos. I think maybe we would have to go that route. Now, Musayev inside the PFL is 3-0. But Ulatov, he's got so many fights. 13 of 16 wins are by finish. And what we've learned, and this is what I hope some of the fighters need to understand, and this is why we're trying to implement, guys, some different things as we move forward. Because what you see in the regular season is guys really fight hard, and the ladies too, to get finishes because bonus points are vital. Then you get to the playoffs, and it's just about winning and getting to this Friday night. So in an instance like this, when you've got fighters who are already here, I want to have a little more invested so they not only come out and want to fight for the $1 million, but also maybe you throw a little bit extra so a knockout or a submission, they're rewarded for that. Because in the back of their mind, from a fighter perspective, they're like, man, I'm fighting for this $1 million. And they tend to be a little bit conservative, and I think sometimes that can hurt. Something to think about as you're handicapping a couple of these $1 million fights.
Yeah, that's tough. You never want to play the prevent defense, in fighting. You never want to try to not to lose. You want to watch the guy go out to win, and sometimes that could be a snooze fest. But I don't think they're going to get that with these two guys, both double-digit KOs on their record. Maybe looking for over-unders or things like that could be a good play. But either way, then no matter who wins, you still make some money. And then we move on. We have lightweight Brett Primus from the U.S. going against Rabananov, the Russian. Primus, of course, is a former champion, but a heavy underdog in this one. I talked to Ian last weekend saying, is there a chance this guy can pull the upset? The longtime vet knows what he's doing. He seems to be going a little more towards the Russian because of the youth, because of the speed, that he doesn't think he'll be able to be handled on the ground like Primus wants to, just hold the guy down, drag him down, and maybe like you were just talking about, kind of grind it out for the decision.
I think also, too, these guys need to understand not only are they fighting for $1 million, but they're also fighting for their future in the PFL. One thing that we want to start doing is not having guys be comfortable, having to earn your spot. And I think this could be a great opportunity for a guy like Brett Primus to show that he still has what it takes to compete. Because let's be honest, guys, around the world in MMA, the elite are not coming from the United States. And that's not a slight on the United States. They've got amazing fight gyms. But a lot of the legacy fighters that are coming down from other big fighters like Khabib or others, they're coming from outside of the country. And that's just fact. So we need more American fighters to step up in fights like this and be able to get the job done, because then other fighters can say, you know what, I can do it too, whether it's going to the UFC or whether it's coming to the PFL, because in 2025, a guy like a Brett Primus or any of these other guys, they can have kind of two opportunities to make money. And I think you have to prove it on a night like tonight. But I think for a guy like Primus, this might be just too much to overcome. So you may want to think about also a parlay when it's something like odds are this big.
Yeah, it seems like every time you watch a card, there's a Nurmagomedov on the card somewhere, no matter what organization it is. They just spring like trees out there over in Dagestan. So we'll see, how that continues to grow, just like you had so many of those guys coming from Fedor's camp back in the day. But now we continue on and move. We got to get one. Speaking of Fedor, heavyweights, big guys that love knockouts, we got that again with two Russians in Golstov versus Popov in this heavyweight battle to round out this last card. This was one, when I was looking at the odds last week, it was a lot heavier to Golstov. It seems like it's basically a pick 'em at this point. Do you think the odds have shifted because of big bets? Do you think that people are starting to realize it's just anybody's game in this one? It's just who gets not dropped first in this, and we just play for the knockout? What are you looking for with the big Russians duking it out?
I think that fans that are now coming, because bettors kind of go in order. And now that this is right in front of them, they're looking at it and they're saying, oh. And sometimes when you see records and you don't do the work, Brian, you're going to bet on a fighter that may not be. And I asked Ian this question. I said, how come you're not more bullish because of the record? And he said, you got to look at who they fought. And Denis Golstov has been through this before. He is a seasoned PFL seasoned fighter. And if you don't know what it's like, or your body's not used to it, or your opponents have not been up to the standard that a Denis Golstov is at, then you got to be very, very careful. I would say this, public service announcement, because I've been here for 4 or 5 years, don't bet on KOs. as much as I would like to think there's going to be some dynamic KOs, history has shown us that if there are, it's a surprise, not the standard. So if you really want to make money, listen to Ian Parker. We've got a great betting show, but be very careful betting on knockouts, even with the big boys, because they have a tendency, and we're trying to get them to not be that conservative, because exciting means dollars, means more opportunity to fight. At least that's what we believe moving forward in the PFL.
Right, you want to get on these pay-per-views that are going to be, kicking into high gear for the PFL. You got to show that you're worth drawing those fans.
Yes.
And so we'll see what these guys can do. Goldstuff, like all by finish, like you said, been there, 35 wins in his career. So the guy's been around the block, but we'll see what he can do now trying to win that title. You said you've been with the PFL 4 and 5 years. As you've seen this organization grow, what do you think of where it has come from the days of competing and maybe being third, in terms of the MMA hierarchy, to now being one of the biggest ones, all the money that's behind it, absorbing Bellator and all their great fighters as well. What do you think of where it's been from where you started to where we are now with the PFL going into 2025?
I wouldn't still be here if I wasn't really bullish on what they can become. I think a lot of changes need to be made. A lot of changes are going to be made. A lot of exciting changes. There's so much when you're talking about the season and then PFL Europe and PFL Africa and all the other changes that we want to make. We want to be a place where our fighters can come and fight the season or can come and just fight. So I think in 2025 it's going to be super exciting. But we've come a long way, but certainly a long way to go. But, Brian, we're excited about this Friday for sure.
They certainly have come a long way, and cards like this show it. I mean, if people aren't excited about this, I don't know if they even have a pulse. Make sure you're checking out PFL 2024 Playoffs Championships Saudi Arabia on ESPN Plus. Thanks so much, Jonathan Coachman, for joining us, and good luck and enjoy the fights.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Combat Sports Report. Great to talk to Jonathan Coachman, get to know him a little bit more. I've been following him for years with all his stuff with the PFL. Awesome to have him break down fights for us. We appreciate his time, but now time is of the essence. We got to break these down quick, let you know what we think about these 6 fights. Let's get it in here. This PFL is going all day long from sun up to sundown pretty much. You have, I think, 16 to 18 fights. I lost complete count, but 6 fights on the main card, $6 million, $1 million for each. Title on the line for each as we wrap up these playoffs for 2024. Let's break it down. Of course, the headline fight for this is Brendan Loughnane versus Timur Hizriev. This one is at featherweight. Lovnane, great story. Former guy that went through the tryout process for the UFC, did everything he could to get his shot at there. Didn't get signed for whatever reason. They just didn't like him, even though he did everything right. Went to the PFL, had great success. Won $1 million tournament last year. Now looking to do it again, as he is the underdog here, plus 230 against Hizriev, minus 315. Hizriev 17-0, undefeated. 13 wins by decision, though, the former Bellator fighter from Russia. Lovnane, 12 decisions, but 16 KOs in his 30 wins. 30-5 for him. 16 by KO, 12 by decision. Does he get the win again? I mean, how could you not take a chance plus 230 on a guy who has won this tournament, who knows what he's doing and can win many different ways? It's all going to be, I think, if Hizriev is able to neutralize his stand-up or if he takes some shots on the feet. Both guys 3-0 in 2024 season. Lovnane had a ground and pound, doctor stoppage, and split decision win, while Hizriev 2 unanimous decisions and a split decision. So might be one where you play the over-under for a different way of this as well, because Hizriev is going to look to expand this out as long as he can. He's not looking for the finish. He's looking for the victory, maybe not the most exciting way, while Lovnane might look for the finish if he can get his hands on him. Women's flyweight, Dakota Ditcheva versus Tyler Santos. Ditcheva, minus 375. Big favorite in this one, 13-0, 8-0 in the PFL. Lots of finishes, 11 KOs. She finishes women quick. All 3 of her wins in this tournament have been first-round KOs. So she's not looking to go to the judges. Santos, on the other hand, 22-3 in her career. First season in the PFL. She had a rear naked choke, then split decision and unanimous decision to get here this year. 10 KOs in her MMA career, 8 decisions, 4 submissions, so she can fight any which way. Made her all the way to a title fight in the UFC against Shevchenko, where she lost by split decision. So she's not afraid of anybody. She's a longtime vet. Can she put this upstart youngster back in her place? I don't know. She's going to try to neutralize her again, as we just talked about with this last fight. Ditcheva, a heavy favorite. Santos, obviously worth a bet, with the way that she has fought throughout her career, with her experience. Definitely more experience than Ditcheva has ever been so far. A lot more tough fights than Ditcheva has had. So I might be inclined to sprinkle a little bit on Santos plus money, but also maybe go for the knockout with Ditcheva. See if she can catch that. Maybe play a little bit each way instead of making one big bet on this fight. Maybe place 2 little bets, because you're probably going to get plus money on both, and then you can, get a victory either way. Then light heavyweight, Imba Kasanganay, who won this title last year, minus 130, going against Dovletstadan Yagshimuradov, who's a slight plus money underdog here at plus 110. Kasanganay, we talked to him, a couple weeks ago, 18-4, 8-1 in PFL. Another guy who had a shot at the UFC, didn't get it, suffered a bad loss and decided to completely rebuild himself from the bottom up. Didn't go home to his family, lived off the land here. We saw the video of him in his tent, living out of the gym, living without a house, just doing what he could in Florida to work himself back up, build himself back up, has made it back to the top of the mountain, won $1 million in the PFL, changed his life, opened his own gym. Now coming in there against Yagshimuradov, 24-7-1. The Turkmenistanian fighter, 13 KOs, 7 decisions. Both these guys undefeated in this run-up here. Impa, 2 finishes, then a unanimous decision. Yagshimuradov, a KO in round 1, then 2 unanimous decisions. So which one is it? Is it Yagshimuradov going for the KO, or is it how he's fought in this tournament, going for the decision win, trying to get it any way he needs to, not necessarily going for the finish and opening himself up, because Kasanganay is good for the long fight. He has a lot of decisions. He's okay with that. We'll see who controls this. I think Imbo is going to want to more neutralize. Yagshimuradov is going to want more to finish. This is going to be a tough one. I think this one can go either way. I'm not sure which one. I'm going to bet my money on this one as we get into it. You're going to have to wait a little bit later into the day maybe to get on this one. Welterweight championship between Umalatov versus Musayev. Musayev, the minus 230 favorite. Umalatov plus 175. Right now, this is a tight one either way. Both these guys can get the finish. They both have done it before. This one might be one you play it more of the over-under than going straight on who's going to win this fight. Then lightweight, Primus trying to regain his title, plus 400 underdog against Rabadanov. Just too heavy a favorite right now for Rabadanov. I don't know if I can play it straight up. I might have to go for an over-under in that one. See who gets the lightweight title. Goldstar Popov, heavyweight, both these guys, big fists. I don't know if we'll get the finish, so this might be an over-under if you can get a 1.5. We'll see. Great fights. Make sure you watch them all on ESPN+. Thanks so much.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into the Combat Sports Report here on SportsGrid as we shift gears and start talking about the BKFC right now. A great card they just had out in LA at BKFC Fight Night Los Angeles. It was awesome fights, and one of those guys who just made an even bigger name for himself. I mean, he already had a great win under his belt for the BKFC and decided wasn't good enough. Let's up it, and that was Anthony the Warrior of Christ Garrett, who joins us now. I mean, Anthony, by my count, I think that's 2 wins in 28 seconds. Between your two fights in the PKFC at this point?
Yeah, under 30 seconds for sure. Yeah, it's shocking and unreal and incredible, but yeah, just a really good feeling, really a lot of fun for sure.
Well, before we get into the fight itself, how did this fight come around? Because, we were just doing the preview last week. Obviously, you were not the opponent for LeVar when we were taping earlier in the week. Then all of a sudden, we get to the card, and not only you the opponent, but you guys go from co-main to main event. So how did it all come together that you were actually on this card out in LA?
So I got the call Wednesday, like midday, and just went for it. And, I'm not even still sure exactly why his other opponents fell off. It's not my business. I don't really care to ask. I'm here to fight, and that's what I wanted to do. So I took the fight and, went big, and it paid off.
Paid off big time. Just a couple days, you get in there, you get your thing going. Obviously, if you're ready to go like you were and putting on that kind of performance, you're obviously training as you work in a school, in a gym, you train people. So obviously you're always kind of on that grind. But, is it easier, obviously, being in your division to just be called on a couple days' notice? You don't have to drop that weight. You don't have to get down to whatever the contract weight is. As heavyweight, you just kind of walk around where you are? Or is that something where you still have to lose a couple pounds before you stepped on the scales to fight on Saturday?
I had to watch what I ate for sure. I remember when they hit me up about fighting, I checked my weight. I was like a baby bit over. So, and I, honest to God, had been spoiling myself, eating whatever I wanted and drinking a little bit. I'm not a big drinker, so alcohol kind of kicks my butt when I do it. But I was celebrating my birthday and my girlfriend's birthday. We're 6 days apart in November for our birthday. So I was, eating whatever I wanted and drinking a little bit of alcohol. So, yeah, otherwise, but I do train every day. Yeah, I'm in the gym. I work at multiple gyms here in Dallas, and I'm always in shape. It's just maybe not my diet's the best, but always ready to go. And it's easy for a heavyweight, yeah, just to skip a meal, cut some water, and you're good to go.
Well, you certainly were. Great job by you in this fight. What did you expect when he came in? Obviously, short notice, like you said. You were training, but not necessarily in a fight camp. Not watching film and breaking down his fights to know exactly what you wanted to do and the way you wanted to attack him. When you stepped up to the stripes there, what were you expecting? Was you expecting to just drop him like you did, or did you think it was going to be more of a battle you're going to have to fight through until later rounds? What were you looking for as this fight got underway?
Yeah, when I took the fight, I watched his last 2 bare knuckle fights, and he looked good and he looked scary. And I saw a few holes that I tried to exploit. And I watched his last 2 fights for Valor like probably 50 times each, and tried to think about what I was going to do to beat him. But no, I did not expect at all. I don't think anyone really does when we drop people that quick. I did not expect to drop him. I just reacted and countered to what he gave me, and just like I said, I went big and it paid off, and that was my plan the whole time. Obviously, 3 days notice, you have to just wing it and give it your best shot no matter what.
You certainly did land in that big right hand. I mean, I think, 3 total punches that you threw in that 12 seconds? Maybe one was kind of a feeler too, and then just the left that didn't really land, the big right that we see there puts him right down. He, started the count, but it didn't get anywhere. He didn't even get the chance to get up. So, Anthony, I mean, you hit him so early. If the ref didn't count it, you might have set a whole new BKFC record. Are you petitioning the BKFC or California to get that changed, or are you just happy with where it was right there with a quick 12 seconds?
I'm a pretty humble guy, so I'm cool with leaving it the way it is. But if BKFC wants to petition for it to get it changed, I would support them on that. It's whatever they want to do. I think my overall goal now moving forward to be, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but shoot for it and why not? But try to break that record too. If I'm capable of dropping someone as talented and experienced as LeVar, I might as well try to beat my record again. Try for 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever I need to do. I'm down for whatever. Beat the record or not. The record stands at 12. If they want to change it, it's whatever to me. It doesn't matter. I just want to fight again. I'm ready to go.
How soon do you want to get back in there? You said you weren't training for a fight specifically. You're enjoying yourself a little bit more now. We have the holidays coming up. Do you want a little time off and maybe get back in there 2025? Or, they still have a couple of cards left. Are you looking to just get back in there as soon as possible? I know after the fight, you said heavyweight division's on notice. I'm here. And you've shown that obviously with these 2 quick knockouts. What is your outlook now after this fight and the holidays coming up? What do you want to do next? When do you want to be in there next if it's up to you?
Yeah, if it was up to me, I'd be ready to go in the next card. It's like I said, I'm always in the gym working and training. I do legit work out probably 2 times a day, every day, just for my, personal well-being, mental health and everything. So I'm always ready to go. And if they need me, they know who to call. I've done it twice now. I took the first fight against John Orr on short notice. I took LeVar on even shorter notice. They know I'm a reliable guy, and they know that what I can do. So if they need me, just, David, pick up the phone, give me a call, and I'm good to go.
Is there anybody that you have on your hit list? Like you said, you're a humble guy, so I'm not expecting you to have bad blood with most people. But, every now and then you got to look and see who's in front of you, try to get into that top 5, going for those titles. Is there anybody that you're looking at now after these knockouts? Me personally, seeing a guy like you and Perdomo matching up, the way you guys have been dropping guys would be a great matchup, but I don't know if they'll give that to you next. What is your outlook for who maybe you have in your sights coming up in the next fight?
Like I said, I am very humble when it comes to the guys that I could be facing for the BKFC. I want to get as much practice as possible before I fight a top contender. Obviously, only 28 seconds in the ring is not a lot of experience, and I do need more before I start making outlandish claims that, I deserve a heavyweight title shot. But there's, like you said, everyone has beef. I'm not perfect. The only fight that I really have always still wanted is the Jack Swagger, Jake Hager dude. When I fought him in Bellator, need me in the crotch 3 times and then try to say that I wanted a way out. I was looking for a way out. We all know that clown was looking for his way out because I clipped him. And I went to his world and fought him in Bellator BKFC is my home now. Like, I'm signed with them, and it's my ring. I made a statement 2 times that it's my ring compared to Jake Hager's, and I'd love to challenge him in BKFC, but we all know he won't do it. So that's probably the only fight I could be like, that's like my mean side coming out. I'd love it. I'd love to knock him unconscious, smash his face in, but there is zero beef with anybody else because I respect all the other heavyweights in BKFC. Everyone is very talented, very good fighters, and like I said, for BKFC wise, I just want a little bit more practice before I make outlandish claims of I deserve this, I deserve that. But yeah, Jake Hager, when you watch this, because we know you will, come see me, boy. Come see me in the BKFC ring. I dare you, but we know you won't, so it is what it is. So I'll move on to the next guy that they have ready for me.
Let's go, Nick. Put that together. That's on our Christmas wish list. We're looking forward to, just quickly before we let you go, Anthony, any special plans for the holidays with Thanksgiving, Christmas, or, you got to keep focused and, make sure you're ready if you get that quick call again?
Yeah, I'll be staying ready at all times, trying to spend time with my daughter, Lucy Jo, and then hanging out with my girlfriend, Ana Lato, going to church and having a good holiday.
Well, we know how much you love her from watching, you on social media and all the things you put about her. You changed your life for her, and hopefully she loves Daddy for all that, and we love you for what you've done to BKFC. Hopefully we see you again soon, whether it's before the new year or after. We're looking forward to a next fight of Anthony Garrett. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Combat Sports Report.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Combat Sports Report here on SportsGrid. Thank you so much to Anthony Garrett for joining us. What a great performance by him this past weekend at BKFC Fight Night Los Angeles. Why don't we get right into that? Let's give a quick recap of what we saw. And this was a great card. I mean, we always tell you, Prospect Series, Fight Night cards, can't sleep on them. Just because they're not a numbered card or a pay-per-view doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it, because you might see some of the best action that you've seen in a couple of weeks, because these are hungry fighters who want to make a name for themselves. And we saw that on this card. 9 of the 10 fights decided by KO, TKO. Only 2 of the 10 fights made it out of the second round, and even one of those ended by a knockout. So lots of action, lots of guys dropped throughout this card. And why don't we get right into it, talk about that main event that we saw with LeVar Johnson and Anthony Garrett. As we said with Anthony, he was not supposed to be on this card. He was a late replacement, just middle week, jumped in there, decided he flew out to LA, he was going to fight, and going against a guy in Johnson who is a longtime MMA fighter, WEC, Strikeforce, UFC, Bellator, was even a bare knuckle champion in a different organization before coming over here. Obviously 47 years old, a little older than his opponent, but had a lot of experience, had a lot of ways to win, but it only took one way, and that was Anthony Garrett's right hand to his chin that dropped him. 12 seconds. We showed that over and over through the interview with Anthony because that was the whole fight. That was all it was, 12 seconds. They got off the scratch. LeVar took a couple of big swings. Anthony kind of felt out with the left hand. Then went 1-2. One didn't hit. Two landed. That's what mattered. He dropped him right away, as we see again here. Let's show it again because it's so quick. Boom. Right hand. Fight over. Obviously, the ref gets in there, gives the 8 count to LeVar, but it didn't even matter. He had no chance. He was barely even conscious. Anthony Garrett gets the win, his second win in the BKFC, both on short notice, both in under 20 seconds. That's now a combined 28 seconds of his 2 fights. And he put the heavyweight on notice with his fist right there and then told them afterwards in the post-fight, I'm here. Who's next? So he's looking to make a name for himself, as we heard him say there. Doesn't really have too many people on his hit list, but, just wants to keep doing his thing and showing what he can do in the BKFC and improving. If you can even say that against a guy who has 2 quick knockouts, but like you said, hasn't gotten into a deep fight, so there's other levels to his game that we have to see. How is his chin? How is his stamina? Those are things maybe we'll see as he starts climbing up the ranks at heavyweight, but from not on the card to being the main event to being the fight, knockout of the night, main event winner, that was Anthony Garrett. Great performance by him. The fight that we thought was going to be the main event that became co-main was the lightweight battle between Ruben Bad Boy War versus Bovar the Gladiator Hanikov. Hanikov was a guy who was coming in here on a 2-fight losing streak. This was a fight to see if he could really probably stay around in the promotion. War, a guy who has undefeated coming in there, 2-0 because of that one fight being changed to a no contest previously against Angel Corps. Undefeated no longer. He has a loss on his record once again after Hanikov gets the unanimous decision, 50-45 on 2 cards, 49-46 on 1 card. He did his damage. He got Hanikov. As you can see, if you check out Hanikov's social media, you see him at home with his babies, his brand new baby, his 2 kids, looking like he's a little worse for wear, but Ruben War was the one who took most of the damage throughout this fight because of a stiff jab by Hanikov, just that left throughout the fight, fighting its way through, would not let Ruben War really get in there and do what he wanted to do to set up those big shots. Every time he got close, Hanikov just caught him with that jab, sometimes even backed him up with some bigger shots, as we saw in the second round. War landed some shots in the third. He got a couple big punches. Later in the fight, he started to land some shots here or there when he really had to sell out. But throughout that fight, Hanikov controlled it with that jab you see there, snapping back that head once again. Every time Ruben War tried to do his thing, Hanikov would get him with that jab, clip him. That eye started being a little worse for wear throughout the fight. They even stopped it in the 4th round after Hanikov pointed out to the ref, like, how is he able to see? He's got all this blood in his eye. Doctor checked it. It was okay. But still, lots of damage done. And that slowed down Ruben War. That prevented him from doing what he wanted to do. And, we even had Ruben War post on his social media, a very gracious post to his opponent talking about how great he did, talking about how he will be back. But it was Hanikov's day. It was his fight. And he got the better of it, and he will try to get better and come back and see, be a better Ruben War. But right now, Hanikov gets back on the winning side of things, and we'll see what is next for him. Maybe take some time off with the holidays, recovering. His wife just gave birth recently. Got to be a dad. It's got to be pretty hard to train during all that as your wife's getting ready to give birth and giving birth, and you're still, putting in that focus and training like he did to get this victory and get himself back in focus here in the BKFC. The Gladiator we'll see again hopefully in 2025 after a great performance by him. Speaking of great performances and eye injuries, Keith Richardson versus Brandon Stranglehold Conley. Conley gets the victory. Second round TKO. Doctor stoppage due to eye damage after the second round. It was one that was back and forth. There was a couple times that Conley was backed up by some good shots by Richardson, but Conley just too strong, too powerful as he just continues to land big shots there, as you see. Eventually, as they go to the end of that round, they can send the Richardson to the doctor, and he says that's it. Just too much pounding with those powerful fists. Conley, you've seen a guy only 5'9", undersized in this fight, but if you've seen the videos of him, I know there was one recently posted by the BKFC of how strong this guy is with the bench press records he sets, the things he does lifting. Doesn't always work out in fighting. Sometimes those guys with those extra muscles just gas out, but not in the case of Brandon Connolly. A great job by him to fight through some adversity himself in this fight and end up getting the victory here by TKO Dr. Stoppage with those big right hands that he landed on the bigger Richardson. Also, another fight that we want to highlight, as there are plenty. We can go through so many wins by Gormley with second round TKO, Muhammad with a second round TKO, Peterson second round TKO, Michael Mano with a fourth round TKO, Sainsbury with a third round TKO, and Vidal with the second round TKO. All great fights, all worth talking about. But one that was really interesting and awesome to watch was the comeback by Mike Hansen, a back and forth fight at flyweight between Mighty Mouse versus Dom the Bomb Carey. Carey got the better of it early on, landing some big shots out of the clinch. He dropped Hansen in that fight in that first round, but Hansen would not be denied. As you see there, it looks like, might be it for Hansen, but that was not it. He came back. He was ferocious, coming back at Carey. Big shots, that big uppercut out of the clinch there, putting his opponent on the mat. Carey would get back up, but could not continue. Hansen gets the TKO with only 13 seconds left in the first round. Both these guys jobbing each other. Both these guys seemingly in control of this fight before their opponent turned the tables on them and gets the victory, going to Mighty Mouse. Another great win for him. We'll see what is next for him in that flyweight division. He has some serious power for a smaller guy. Great fight at BKFC Fight Night Los Angeles. Great performances all around. Plenty of knockouts. Won't take a long time. If you want to go check them all out, go do it on the BKFC app. Can't wait to see what is coming up next, December 6th, on that great card we have coming up for the BKFC. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the announcements we've heard in the last week for the BKFC and some tragedy that's unfortunately struck some of these fighters. And, hopefully maybe people can reach out and help them out as these holidays here for the BKFC when we come back to wrap up Combat Sports Report on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Combat Sports Report on SportsGrid. Thank you so much for joining us as we wrap things up on another episode. I hope everyone has had a happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully you're all checking out those PFL fights on ESPN+. That tournament wrapping up, 6 belts on the line, $6 million. How can you not tune in? It was awesome to talk to Jonathan Coachman about that, get his insight and how he thinks some of these fights might shake out. Looking forward to even bigger things from him in the PFL in 2025. And thanks so much also to BKFC heavyweight Anthony Garrett for joining us after his great performance on short notice against LeVar Johnson this past weekend at the BKFC Fight Night Los Angeles. Awesome stuff from both those guys. Appreciate them joining us on the show. Before we get out of here, just want to talk about some tragedy that's unfortunately struck the BKFC on multiple levels. Multiple fighters have dealt with things in the past couple months, and hopefully, there's ways that we can help out as a community, as fans of them. But first up, just recently this week, saw a post from Andy Krajan Nguyen, who posted about, unfortunately, a fire striking her house there. As you see, that's the aftermath of what happened. She posted that she lost everything, that apparently she fell asleep and then all of a sudden was woken up by alarms going off. Was able to get out with her loved ones and her pets, thankfully. No carnage in that respect, but lost everything in her house. She was not able to take much else out. As you see the flames just flying out. There was an explosion at one point, she says, as well. So just terrible to see that happening to Andy Nguyen. Glad that she is safe. Hopefully she has some friends and family that will be able to help her out and take her in this time of need. And hopefully we can help her as well as a BKFC community. And also we saw a story posted on the BKFC app and website, getting details from the first time from Jared Warren, Captain Deadpool. We knew the hurricanes that ripped through Florida, especially up there in the Panhandle area, in the Tampa area, where they've had multiple hurricanes over the last couple of years just devastate that area. And one of those who was devastated was, unfortunately, Captain Deadpool, Jared Warren, as well as Crystal Pittman, his lovely, also a fighter there for the BKFC, his lovely girlfriend, who were living together in that area. He talked about how they had to basically climb out of a window because there's too much water pressure with the floods rising on to open the door, and then get the pets out, get in his truck, and was just high enough to get out of there, to get out of the area. But they lost everything in their house as well with the floods of those hurricanes. It's kind of been couch surfing and house jumping from friend to family all through the area, trying to rebuild, but is not letting it deter him from defending that title. Obviously, he won that belt, and people would not, take it away from him if he were to say, listen, I need a couple months here, I need to rebuild. But he said even as he is, obviously working as a first responder, as a firefighter in that area, trying to rebuild his home and salvage what he can from what they had happen to their house, still training hard over there with Shift Combat as he gets ready to defend his title against the Marine Richmond later in December. So not letting it deter him, not letting it distract him, but still going through some hardships, him and Crystal Pittman. I'm sure others in the area as well. I know that Dave Feldman had talked weeks ago about starting a GoFundMe that they were donating to fighters in the area, trying to help them out. Hopefully that maxed out, and hopefully there's other ways that we can help them as well as a fight community, as fans of the BKFC and as fans of them as fighters. So look out for ways to help them as they go through their time of need. Jared Warren, Crystal Pittman, and Andy the Krajan Nguyen. Also, some positive things that we've heard in the last couple of weeks here. Last week on the BKFC podcast with Brian Soch, the BKFC show, we had announcements from Dave Feldman that there's going to be a huge card. We touched on a little bit, Knuckle Mania, going to the Wachovia in Philadelphia. One of the biggest things yet. We knew they were coming to Pennsylvania. We thought it was coming this year. Unfortunately, it's getting put off till 2025, but that's because it's expanding, it's growing. Going to be a huge fight, as you see there, between Eddie Alvarez and Jeremy Stevens. More is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks about who else will be on that card. I'm sure plenty more talent from the area after they had the Philadelphia tryouts. Plenty of great Philadelphia fighters. I'm sure they're going to load it with some big names on the BKFC to really pack out their hometown area of Philadelphia. It's going to be huge. The biggest card yet maybe for the BKFC Knucklemania 5 in Philadelphia. Looking forward to maybe even getting to that one, hopefully getting for the first time myself to a BKFC card in person. That would be awesome to go watch out in the Philly area, the city of brotherly love. Looking forward to watching that. Also, don't know the complete details yet. Hopefully we'll get those in the coming weeks. But apparently Dave Feldman then went on SiriusXM and announced a $25 million tournament. He said there's going to be tryouts. Anybody can get involved. Then they're going to will it down to, I think, 24, and then have a final 8 that will be involved in various fights throughout 2025, culminating in a $25 million prize. Can't wait to see more details on that and digest that more and see who will be involved in that in 2025, trying to get a ton of money. You want to talk about paydays? That is the biggest in combat sports history. Looking forward to seeing who might get a shot at that tournament style for the BKFC. Thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully you had a happy Thanksgiving. We'll catch up with you next week here on the Combat Sports Report here on SportsGrid.